Okay, so today, what the novel that we have is The Catcher in the Rye summary. Okay, I'm going to first teach you the summary, and the name of the novel is The Catcher in the Rye. It is written by Salinger. This was published in the year 1951, and it belongs to the genre of coming of age novel, which is or in the language it is as well as common. And the narrative style that is adopted here is first person narration, and the narrator Holden, and he's a 16-year-old. This novel is one of the most famous works of American literature, often called the voice of teenage alienation. So this is about at that point of time it was a kind of new genre that came up, coming of age, so that was the genre. And this literature is basically on the voice of teenage alienation, how alienated you feel during your teenage, and what are the like changes that take place in you, emotionally, psychologically, because there are n number of physical changes to your body. So during the teenage, the alienation period is hereby discussed in this novel. The main character is the narrator himself, that is Holden Caulfield, a 16-year-old boy. He's disillusioned, he is rebellious as a teenager who has just been expelled from Pensy Prep, his fourth school. This is a fourth school that he's expelled from, and he struggles with grief over his younger brother Ali's death, feels disconnected from the adult world, and constantly criticizes people as phonies. Okay, so if I take the plot summary into concern, the first part that I'll be discussing will be expulsion from Prency Prep. So Holden begins narrating from a mental institution. He recalls the days after being expelled from Prency Prep. He feels isolated and angry with his schoolmates and teachers. Then comes the second part, that is a journey in the New York City. Instead of going home, Holden wanders around New York for a few days. He stays in hotels, visits bars, meets old friends, hires prostitutes, but ends up just talking to her and tries to find meaning in his encounters. So he was struggling with problems in relationship. He was feeling disconnected from the entire world because of his loss of his brother, that is Ali, and that is why he felt that he could not connect with the world anymore. That was grief that had taken over him, and he was trying to kind of see through his own lenses what the world looks like. So instead of going after his expulsion, he goes around to take a tour of New York, and there he did a number of things. He he visits hotels, he visits bars, he meets old friends. He hires a prostitute, but ends up talking to her because he's trying to find out the meaning in every relationship and his encounters. Then comes the struggles with relationships, as I mentioned. Holden wants connection but often pushes people away. He meets his old girlfriend, Sally Hayes, but their date turns into an argument. He admires his younger sister, Phoebe, the only person he feels truly understands him. The dream of catcher in the rye. Holden imagines himself as the catcher in the rye, standing in a field of rye and saving children from falling off a cliff. So it's a metaphor for protecting innocence from the corruption of adulthood. Then comes breakdown and recovery. After an emotional encounter with Phoebe, Holden collapses psychologically. The novel ends with him in a local rest home, hinting that he might try to apply himself uh, better after leaving, although uncertainty remains. He was not ready to come out of that zone. He says that he would try to certain. So the major themes that revolve around the novel. First is alienation. Holden feels cut off from the adult world, yet also resists genuine intimacy. There is a couple where Holden desperately wants to protect children's innocence, sympathizes fantasy of being the captain in the rye. Then, of course, psychology criticizes adults for being fake, superficial, and hypocritical. Identity and adolescence. The novel captures the confusion, rebellion, and the search for meaning in teenage years. So, the symbols, major symbols, or the symbolic elements that are used in the novel is the title itself, The Catcher in the Rye, which symbolizes Holden's dream role as a survivor of innocence and children. The red hunting hat, his unique identity and desire for individuality. The carousal, it's the final scene, acceptance that children must grow up and face life's realities. Then comes the ducks in the Central Park Lagoon. His questions about where the ducks go in winter reflect his own search for belonging and survival. So, in simple terms, The Catcher in the Rye is about a confused teenager, Holden, wandering through New York City after being expelled from school. He feels lonely, thinks most people are fake, and wishes he could protect children from the harness of adulthood. The story is less about events and more about his inner struggle with growing up, grief, and finding meaning in life.